Good morning, everybody. Jim Gray Wolf Petruzzi here with, let me hopefully get this right, Carole Bubar-Blodgett. I haven't had my breakfast yet.
Hope you've had coffee.
Yeah, I need more coffee. We're here today. We want to talk a little bit about water, which both of us do quite a bit. Carole's been doing some amazing water walks now for a number of years. And so we want to put more information out there as part of what we've been doing for the last several years around water and unity and bringing people together. And Carole is just a huge font of spiritual and physical understanding of water and how we work with it and how we use it. So we're just going to dig in. Carole, it's really great to be doing this. First time we've ever done anything like this. So thank you for being willing. And what would you like to say to open this? And then I'll ask you some questions, if I may.
Well, first I want to send my gratitude for the life I've been given and all the ancestors that walked before us. All those teachings that they left beside the road, as it says in the seventh generation, in the prophecies for us to pick up in these times. And so one of the things that water has taught me is that nothing is lost, nothing's been forgotten. The water remembers it all. And so I want to give thanks and gratitude for that teaching and for its visibility to me as I do this work with the water, that I'm always led and guided in directions that I'm not expecting. And I'm really very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's a good way to open. And I think we can all do that, especially right now. We've all been doing a lot of work around water. We've both been involved with Standing Rock and Water is Life movement, and currently other things to try to bring people together. This water walk that you do has been going on for, I think this is the 8th year, right?
This is the 8th year, yes it is.
Yeah, which is the number of infinity, no surprise. So I guess you have to stay a while. You're going to have to do this till the end of time, Carole.
Well, that's what the bundle says, or until I pass it anyway.
Yeah, and that's a big, Carole and I were chatting a little bit about things we do and responsibilities and what does passing the bundle mean, and on and on and on. Many of us have been trained in various ways by various people and asked to go ahead and carry bundles or go ahead and share messages and do our work to try to provide a better life for the 7 generations, which for those who don't understand that means those who will live 7 generations from now. We're to do nothing that impacts them in a negative way, and we're to try to do all we can to make their life better, to make their world more sustainable. At least that's the way I was taught. So, Carole, you've been doing that in a big way, and I know you've done many, many things, but tell us a little bit about the water walk. Why a water walk? What is it bringing to the public?
Number one, we walk the water because our ancestors walked the water. We as women carry that water because that was always our job. We always carried the water. We have this amazing connection to water. We share the same 28-day cycle as that moon, and she's the one who controls the tides. And so we have that same 28-day cycle, 28 days and a new moon, 28 days and a new moon, 15 moons, you have a year. We carry that same cycle. And she controls the tides not only in the oceans, but within our bodies. That's why we swell up, ladies. And so it's just a change of tides. Don't worry, it'll go away. Because we share that same energy, we share the fact that we all carry our children in water. We birth our children in water. Every human being was born of water. And so it's the first element that we came in contact with. as women, we have a much more stronger connection because of that. We have been given the gift of bringing life, and water is the life giver on this planet. Nothing lives without water. And so we have that connection. And so that's traditionally why we carry the water. And I have an amazing vessel that I carry the water in that was handmade in Guatemala. And it was passed to me 8 years before I began walking the water. And it has a little groove on the bottom that is, they have a bean bag that they put on their head, and then they set the vessel in it and nestle it in, and then they can carry it without holding onto it. And so for years, I hear people saying all the time they do it so they have their hands free, until the first time I did it. And as soon as I put that water on my head, I could feel the energy of that water just go right down through my whole system, and through that whole chakra system from the crown right to the root, and ground me right down to the earth again. And so I believe that it had a much more spiritual meaning than just to have your hands free. So as women, it's our job to carry the water. So that's why I started with carrying the water. And walking it, we walk because our ancestors walked. There is something about walking with intent on this planet. As you walk that water and you're praying for that water, every footstep, it's like a drumbeat on the earth, and that energy of that love, respect, and gratitude that you're carrying for that water that birthed you is carried into the earth. So now you've got that web that just spreads out. And so the energy of love, respect, and gratitude is absorbed by all the water droplets and all the soil and in the plant roots. And then that just spreads from plant to plant to plant to plant. And it's just like the pebble that you drop in the river. And so everything that comes to drink from the rivers or the ponds or the little mud puddles along the way is going to pick up that prayer. And so it's really incredible to have that opportunity to feel that energy just move out in that drop in the water kind of scenario.
Yeah, that makes, I've been aware of your walks now for a number of years and been involved, and we've done radio shows before. And it's just such a powerful statement. But the walks in general, I like what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. Suddenly there's a lot of walks going on. And all people have always done walks as part of their cleansing, as part of change. I mean, we're taught that each time we entered a new earth, there were these migrations of people, which were huge walks. Now we're seeing, and I'm just seeing what's currently right in front of me, just for a group I'm involved with, World Summit, we're working on a huge event for about a year and a half out from now. And walk will be part of that. This coming, only about 4 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, students are going to be walking in Washington because of the gun shooting.
Yes.
The Vets for Peace are setting up walks, and some of that is around water. More and more, we're seeing this as a tool, and I hear you, it's absolutely spiritual. It is, you're right, the drum beat, because it brings in the heartbeat of the Earth Mother. And of course, the water is the blood of the Earth Mother, so that makes total sense. I notice while we were talking, for one thing, you're getting more help this year, but it seems like your event is expanding, there's more recognition, and maybe it's timing. And you were saying you want to make sure more and more children are there. So I'm wondering which pieces of that you want to grab.
Well, the Waters Life Walks are hosted by Nurture the Children. I have been working with children for a very, very long time, and my belief is that we need to nurture them through nature. And we put them in a classroom for 8 days, 8 hours a day, and they're not meant to sit still for 8 hours a day. And so, their real school is nature. my first best friend was an oak tree. My second best friend was the bull that lived in the pasture that oak tree was in. And so, I could go in and climb in that oak tree and sit there. And my father was scared to death of the bull, and I could get away with not doing anything all day because I was trapped in the pasture. But he liked peanut butter and jelly, and so I was good. He let me down, and I could play in the stream once Dad was gone, and the bull never bothered me as long as I gave him a peanut butter and jelly. But anyway, when we live in nature, there is an energy that is very cleansing, and it allows us to feel that connection and understand that we're never alone. That there may not be another human being around, but you're not alone. That all of those things have energy, and they fulfill our lives. And so I want to give children that opportunity to feel that and to experience that. We were talking about my belief that you can tell them something and they're probably going to forget it. If you show them, they're more likely to remember. But when you involve them and they get a chance to carry an eagle staff, and so you get a chance to talk to them about what that is and the energy that they're going to be carrying, and if it becomes too much, just to pass it on. But allowing them that opportunity to participate in ceremony is, I believe, how we're going to get them away from the suicide and all of those things that we see in society, where they feel hopeless. They feel like they don't have any control. And so when they learn that nobody has control, then it's okay that I don't have control. And that none of us are in control of anything. And we can make choices that will change the way things are. And those are personal choices that you make right now that are based on your past, and they create a future based on the choice that you make now. And so to teach them those things is a key part of why I do this. It's that seventh generation. We're trying to keep the water clean and pure. We're trying to keep the land clean and pure so we can pass them a better world than we got. And that's not happening, and that's what breaks my heart, because I know what these waters look like where I live when they were passed to me. And so I feel a huge need for me to do all I can to give them a chance to stand up, and they're standing up everywhere. And that seventh generation is amazing. And so if you don't believe that they're going to change this world, just get out of their way and watch them do it, because they will. And
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's on the learning part, absolutely. When I taught, I did a lot of experiential teaching. My students had to go out in the community and actually do things, try them, get their hands on it, because that's how not only do you remember it, but you remember it in a different way, because it's part of you then. You've actually experienced it. You've touched it. So whether it's carrying a staff or being in a pipe ceremony or any other number of things, it doesn't have to be Native American. I think that's really powerful. And I know we've got some people actually who I told we were going to do this little thing. So one of them just said to me, and it just ties into what you said, boy, when I was a youngster, we had clean water, we had clean lands, we had clean air. And no, it wasn't perfect. We know that. But yes, I can remember walking up a stream and taking a hike. And you could just at any time stop and dip a cup in and drink the water. Or you could pull watercress out of the water and eat it so you'd have some food. If you did that now, you'd probably have dysentery for a month. They're just, I've been up way high. Well, we live at 8,000 feet now. I wouldn't even try to drink the water up this high because the contaminants have come and just affected all of it. And what does give me some sense of wellness is the young people. They've been sitting back somewhat and watching, and I don't blame them because we've been screwing this up. But they're now speaking, they're now acting, they're now striking out about all kinds of things, not just water, but water's a big one. I remember when Sue and I were at Standing Rock sitting with LaDonna, and she was telling us how, well, it's the young people who started this. They came to me and they said, look what they're going to do to our water. Can you help us bring something about? So that's really how it started. It was the young people. And LaDonna and the other elders are the first to admit that. I know in the change piece now, I have come to really accept that we cannot ask change of anybody. We have to do the change, all of it. I really hoped we could take that middle road and work with people, but no, it's not going to work. And so the change has to come from us. So it has to be systemic. It has to be everything. It has to be, and again, part of the prophecies, the big part, the male and the female standing together in harmony and equality. And right now, the powers that be, the establishment, are doing all they can to block that. And yeah, we're dealing with some horrific things that have happened over time. For me, the water is the big cleansing element of the universe, certainly of this planet. We have to allow the water to wash that away. We don't forget, we know these things happened. I don't want to repeat them, but if it washes over, and I'm trying to remember, I had a wonderful teacher tell me this, Carolyn Bubar-Blodgett some years ago. If you just let the water wash over you, it will cleanse what's wrong. If you sit together in the water and let it wash over all of us, it'll make us one again. So I just wonder what you think about that. Is that part of that? Is this part of healing the ancestral wrongs, healing the global wrongs that are going on now? Or is it more just, here we are, we're marching, we want clean water?
No, we do need to let the water wash over us, but that can be in any number of ways. I mean, it doesn't. Moving water is definitely the most powerful, whether it's the ocean or a river or a stream. The year that I began to walk the water, the first thing they did was take me to the river after we did the sweat lodge, after I came off the hill and from my ambulancia, and they took me down to the river and into the water. And I had always done that, and I went in, and it was the first time. You know how when you get in water, it's like it just wraps its arms around you, and it can either wrap you in warmth or cool depending upon where you are and what time of year. But it's the first time that I had ever felt every drop touch my body, if that makes any sense. It wasn't like this just whole big huge hug. It was like each drop was touching me separately.
Yep.
And then that moved from each drop into, like when it's raining on you and you'll feel the drops hit you, or you'll feel the snowflakes hit you individually. And then all of a sudden it's just like the oneness. And so that's when the teachings of unity began for the first time with me in water. Mm-hmm. And I believe wholeheartedly that we can create world peace just by praying for our water and praying with our water. Mm-hmm. All of us on this planet are 75% water. Mm-hmm. And so even with all the negative energy that's being bombarded into the mother every day with all the bombing and everything that goes on, mm-hmm. And all that negativity, water, we're more water than we're land. And the water flows through this land, and it's all around us. You know, when we breathe out, we're breathing out water. So our words are going into every drop that's in the air. Dr. Emoto did some amazing work that proves the teachings that I was taught on water, that it changes and it listens and it responds to your words and to the energy that you put out there. And so if we are continually filling ourselves with the energies of love, peace, and gratitude, and we put that out there, whether it's in our voice and the moisture coming from into the air from around us, or whether it's praying with a cup of water in the morning and just sending your love, respect, and gratitude, and then giving that back to the land. Praying with every body of water that you see, just sending that love, peace, and gratitude out. Again, we have that drop of water that just spreads out like ripples. And if enough people are doing it, then that water is continually gaining more and more love, peace, and gratitude. And hey, even those guys in Washington, D.C. have to take their showers in it, drink it, and so, it's got to cleanse them, whether they're just looking at it as something to take a shower in or just a cup of coffee. The water's in that coffee, the water's all around them in the air that they breathe. And so I believe that in that wholeheartedly. And so
great. And yeah, I was starting to lose signal. We got all that though, so I had to go. And anyway, we're back on. So we probably have at least 10 more minutes. Why don't we shift to this year's event? What do you want people to know? How can they join? How can they be part of this, either physically or virtually? Where is it?
It's I can't release the name of the river, but I can tell you we're going to be walking in northwestern Massachusetts, part of New York, and Connecticut, all the way down to the Sound. And so I have to finish protocol. And so I'm not smoking the pipe with the chief until tomorrow, which is kind of signing the contract. Traditionally, once the river makes itself known through the pipe, now I have to follow protocol, and I have to go to the traditional stewardship keepers of that water, even if they're in another state now because they were relocated, and I have to seek permission. And then once the pipe is the signing of the treaties, it's not the paper. And so tomorrow, when we smoke, I can officially announce the name of the river. But we have 3 headwaters out of New York, out of Massachusetts, that will be gathering and then bringing it down through the western part of Massachusetts. And there are 2 headwaters over in New York that we will be gathering. One will come out of New York down into Massachusetts, and then the other one comes out of New York down into Connecticut. So we start with the headwaters, and then we walk to the confluence, go catch the other headwater, and come back to that confluence, and then we do a unity ceremony and gathering those two together, and then we walk down till we hit another headwaters, and then walk out and gather that and walk back. So it's a long process, but it's very life affirming for me to see how this water flows through our mother, and to be able to address and draw attention to all that we're doing, because we don't see it. And so when you're walking through a town and you say, oh, here's a dam, and it's created this little reservoir, which when I grew up, the reservoirs were where you got your drinking water. And so now I see the sewer treatment plants are like right on the side of the river by the reservoir. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so, but those are a chance to draw attention. If you can get a chance to speak to the people in those towns, that the river that I did last year was the Merrimack River, and it made the top 10 most endangered rivers in the United States in 2018. 16, and it made it because of the amount of sewage in the river. So you can't have the governor of two different states make a decision as to, you've got two different states you're dealing with. The river is in two states, so how do you control the sewage when you're doing that? It has to be town by town by town. And so if people aren't aware of what's happening and the consequences, each town has to make a decision on how do we make our treatment plant less polluting. And then if everyone does it, then again, now we have a diminished overall intake. And so
so we can't say which rivers yet, but what's the time frame? When is the event going to be?
Time frame, we will start with the new moon in May, which is the 15th, and we will walk to the new moon in June. Let me just double check my calendar. I believe it's 13th.
I think it's 13th.
And I go new moon to new moon, or new moon to full moon, depending on the length of the river. And so this year, it's a little bit longer, and after going to Standing Rock, I still have a little bit of the dapple cough thing going on, so I've cut back I don't walk 15 miles a day anymore. And it might have a little to do with the age thing, but so May 15th is the new moon ceremony. We won't actually walk that day. We'll start walking the next day because we'll ask that she who controls the tides to help us to carry this prayer downriver. And then we end with a new moon ceremony. So we start walking on the 16th, finish walking on the 12th. And then we have the closing ceremony on the 13th, which is the new moon. And we pass that prayer along to that new moon. And so I carry the whatever water, body of water I'm working with for a year in prayer, passing that prayer every new moon.
People don't have to walk the whole thing with you, right? They can.
No, and that's another reason why we cut the miles down. It's kind of hard to get people interested to walk with you if you're walking 15 miles. And so I discovered as soon as I dropped the mileage, I got a lot more participation. But nobody has to walk the whole day either. And if I can get support vehicles, which has not happened, but it's been my desire to have a support vehicle every day, so that elders that want to come, but they can't physically walk, can ride in that car, and that vibration of the tires on the road isn't a whole lot different than your footprints. And so they can send their prayers in that way.
And so if people just
ride for a while.
Yeah. So if people just have a day or two, they can come and do a day or two. And
yes, and the website is not up yet. It won't go up until probably the 26th is the date we're shooting for it to go live.
Okay.
It's a new Water is Life walk, and it's just for this year. We have a website that has covered all of them. But this one we're trying to design a little differently, so it will focus on just this year.
Okay.
So you can go to the other website and look at the past walks, and then it'll have places for people to join as community leaders, and it'll have daily map links so you can see where we're going to be on. Okay, I'm on vacation this week. What day can I go and spend here? And
so what's the website for the past walks? How do people find that?
Past walks is Water is Life Walk, because when we set that one up, we weren't thinking it was going to be lifetime commitment, but so it's Water is Life Walk at WordPress.com, and my brother Brian Facina set that up and manages that for me, and I thank him very much. Raven Redbone from Ain't No Bones About It radio station, you might know him.
So that's the.
Also, we have Water is Life walks with on Facebook. You can watch us there.
Okay. Good.
And we hope to be having an upload every day. We're trying to get, if we can get it figured out how. I'm not a technology-minded person, but I've got some people that are really helping.
Yep.
So we're trying to figure out how to use Google Maps to track where we're going every day, so that if somebody wants to come and join and they don't make it before we start, they can open up the map and see where we physically are in the route at that particular moment. And so the amount of miles that we walk doesn't necessarily determine how long we're going to walk on any given day, because that is changed by the need to do ceremonies in various different places as we come down. And so the number of ceremonies on any given day will also increase the length of time that we're walking.
And so when we get up the new website and you can announce the river, we'll connect. So we make sure we post that in all the groups as well.
Okay.
So let's get a really big turnout this year for all the events. Not certainly for yours, because it's got so much history and energy, but for all the events, for all the places people are standing up and saying, we have to do this in a better way.
Yeah, this river that came forward is one of 4 that I took into prayer, and I took it into prayer at the request of one of our young water walkers, Micah, from Standing Rock, who came out to Massachusetts to stand with some people here who were standing against a pipeline here in Massachusetts. And so he just kind of jokingly said to me, he said, well, if you're going to be walking some water, this one needs some help. And so, I put that watershed in there, and we just kind of leave it up to the pipe. I take 4 into prayer and wait and see what pipe says. And so this is the one that came forward.
Perfect.
So it'll be about 219 miles altogether.
Wow. Okay.
Give or take. Some of that'll be, it always goes up a little because we don't have, that's like Google Road Map length. It doesn't include going on and off or to go down to the water to do the prayer ceremony. So.
Yeah, so that's good. It's last year when you were doing it, we were back that way, but we were actually doing other programs on water, so we didn't get a chance to walk with you.
Yes, and you had a meeting, and I was like, I can't get over there.
I know, but
once I start moving the water, you have to move. You just have to keep it moving. Water doesn't sit still, and
that's right. That's right.
You walk.
You were all doing the work, so it all connects anyway.
It's all one water, and it's all talking to each other. So if you take 4 drops of water and you put them on a plate, and you put food coloring in 1 drop, and you tip that plate, now you got 1 drop, and it's all shared that color, because water shares information and anything else that's in it instantly when it comes together. So if we can just remember to put that energy into that water, we're good.
Well, I'm starting to lose signal again, so I'm going to wrap this up, I think. This is really great. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. I'm sure all the people who listen to it will be interested. I know Carole's Water is Life Walk is on Facebook, because I've been on the page a lot of times. So visit there, watch for additional posts. We will tell you more information as we have it. And if you're back that way, or you're going to be back that way, I really suggest plan some time you can do this. Even if it's 1 day to do part of a walk and maybe do a little ceremony, just to feel this, especially if you've never done anything like this. It's not just taking a walk. Trust me. It affects every part of you, mind, body, spirit, emotions. A lot of things will come to you. It's like doing a huge ceremony in itself, I think. That's what I experience whenever I do these things. So do yourself a favor, do the earth a favor, do the 7 generations a favor, and join Carole. Thanks, Carole. Any closing remarks before we? Whoops.
No, I think I would say to just do it for the water. If we all just do it for the water, we'll one step at a time, we'll get there. And so no one is required to walk but me, but where everyone is invited. And this is on all faiths, all people, and one prayer. And so
Perfect.
let's get together and.
Yeah, as it must be. And you're right. One of the teachings is, and you know this well, when we do work, we never really try to heal ourselves or anything else. But when we work on the water, we're also healing ourselves because we're one with the water.
Yes, and we're healing everything at once because nothing lives without water. So absolutely. And
here we go.
Come heal yourself and walk.
That's right.
Heal yourself, and we heal the seventh generations to come and the 7 generations behind us.
That's right. We always have to remember we are a 7th generation as well.
Absolutely.
There were 7 before us. There'll be 7 after us, as long as we do our work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the chance to speak. I appreciate it very much.
You bet. And we'll do more and see if we can. We'll have some radio programs starting up soon too, so we'll see if we can do something there.
Okay.
Let's just get everybody out there walking.
Well, keep an eye on the Water is Life Walks page on Facebook, because as soon as I can announce it, it'll be there, and we'll be putting out the link to the website and then posting that up there. And so share it out when I send it to you.
Yeah, I will. And you folks, all you who watch this, listen to this, share it out as well. Share it to your friends. Let people know this is how these things grow. Thanks, Carole. It was great doing something with you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. One of these days we're going to meet face to face, I'm sure.
Yeah, we will. No question.
Okay. You have a great day, and thank you for all you're doing.
You too. Be well.
Be well. Doksha.
Oi.